Okay. Okay, I can hear myself. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Margaret Lynn Trineri. Hello, hello. This is our fourth chakra day in our, let me put on my speaker view here. Oh, great, it's on. This is our fourth chakra day in the Unblocked series, following the 4 big chapters and the 12 chapters of my book that walk you through all the 4 chapters. All the 4 chakras. Hold on, let me say hello. Let's see, all you AI companion people. And so today we're jumping into the 4th chakra. And so this is the 4th in the series of 4. We are all leading into my training masterclass next week on being a chakra intuitive and what does it look like to really be able to help people as a coach, like go deeper with these skills, how to use the chakra skills. Hold on, another pop-up. How to use this chakra skills, these assessment, this knowledge to really help people in a very deep way and in a way that will feel to them and feel to you more intuitive, because you already have a sense of where you need to go, what chakra you need to go, what door you need to open to help them in a major way, right? Not little changes, big changes. And so welcome and thank you so much for being with me on this whole series. We have a lot to teach today because as every chakra goes up, we get more complicated because we are developmentally at the 4th chakra, we are more developed humans. We are more conscious humans. We have more consciousness about us than just the 1st chakra, the 2nd chakra, the 3rd chakra. So as Carolyn May says, every chakra that develops has more power, more responsibility, more charge, more energy than the one below in terms of powering and directing our life flow energy. 2nd chakra being the biggest charge, the heart chakra being the most conscious and integrative of the whole system. And so we come again here, you know, if 3rd chakra is kind of like our little robot, go, 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 do, go, go, go. I know who I am by what I do. At 4th chakra, we step into this really beautiful place of humanity, of consciousness. It's really where we separate ourselves, right, from the lower half, from animals running around on the planet, just wanting to make more animals and eat more food and fight to the death or do whatever we need to do. At the 4th chakra, we're really evolved as humans. We actually see differently. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to you all there on YouTube. Welcome to the cats, the dogs that I see on screen here in the Zoom room with me. Humans and non-humans, welcome to this 4th chakra day. So I am going to teach a little bit right now. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to actually read a little bit out of Unblocked because I want to talk to you about the 4th chakra and when it comes to how it connects to the inner critic, because most people don't make that connection, but it's really important to do that. What this 4th chakra portal opens us up to. And I also just want to talk about the assessments as well. So I am going to walk you through the assessment again, and we'll do some tapping for the heart chakra at the end, as we've been doing in this series. I kind of got a little system going here. But to remind ourselves that, you know, the reason that we do an assessment is so that we do a better job than just the self-report. Just the self-report from our client or our own self-reporting, because often what we're hearing is our mind talking to us. And as you're going to hear as we get into the 4th chakra, all the things that the mind, all the reasons that the mind is saying certain things, and it's not a good narrator of what is really going on with you. And so giving people an assessment, whether it's a questioning assessment like we've been doing here, or a close your eyes, visualize, go to this place and open this door, as we're going to talk about a lot over the next couple of weeks in the Chakra Intuitive, where we take an assessment to a whole different level. We're trying to get better information, chakra-based information that is not so sanitized through the mind, right? Like, what answer should I give here? What do I think? I think I feel this, but I also know. And so with the asking someone and getting them to self-report, it's not always that accurate. And so using an assessment gets better information, especially when we ask unusual questions and we say, how does it feel? True does it feel on a scale of 1 to 10, which is a weird thing for the brain. Like, how true does it feel on a scale of 1 to 10? But even that has been impressing me for 18 years as a coach, because as I started out and I worked with attorneys and doctors and engineers and therapists, I had all sorts of clients, small business owners. I would ask these strange opposite of mindset questions, right? Like, what if I fail? Or the truth is, I'm not good enough. And this person sitting there who was like, no, I have high self-esteem. I know I believe in myself. It's something else. And then when I would say, how true does it feel on a scale of 1 to 10, they'd be like, oh, that feels like an 8. Like, they would give me a number and it would surprise even them. So using an assessment is a powerful way. That's why I'm giving you these assessments, and I'm going to teach you more assessments over the next series. That's really more targeted for, for coaches or those who want to be coaches. And it also helps us get around blind spots. And so one of the biggest issues in personal growth, and we really see it here at the fourth chakra, is we don't know what our blind spots are. We talked about it yesterday. I think it was just yesterday. Yeah, in the third chakra, when we just talked about being stuck and procrastinating, and people are like, I don't know why I do this. That's the number one thing people say when they're procrastinating or self-sabotaging is, what the heck? Like, why am I doing this? And so understanding that we have blind spots, and often the work to get to the change we want is going to be counterintuitive. It's not what people are expecting, where they're expecting to go. So if we go with their self-report or with their ideas of where they should go, you're often just listening to the spinning of an anxious mind or a self-critical mind. So we have to use an assessment, and we have to be smarter. We have to be smarter. We cannot just go with the old standby of many years saying, why don't you just stop thinking that thought? I can't even tell you, right? How many times I've heard that, how many times it comes up in other programs. Why don't you just stop thinking that thought? We have to do better. And so, my call to action to coaches all the time is, we all love to, and we'll see it today, like, wow, I set really high standards for myself. Well, when it comes to doing a better job, understanding what's really going on, the blind spots people have, the counterintuitive nature of the work, yes, let's decide to do a better job than just telling someone to stop thinking that thought or they're on the wrong channel, right? We have to evolve past the old-fashioned law of attraction mindset stuff that just isn't helpful when you really have some real things to clear out, right? Because the mind is not the operator. The mind is the reporter, right? The mind is the recording of the things that are happening at the lower chakras. And, not everyone agrees with me. I have stood on stages in panels with other people who've heard what I have to say and then gone, okay, everybody in the audience, you don't need to do anything that woman just said. And I'm like, just keep smiling, act normal. You just have to change your mind, right? And so this is not for everyone, but this is about going even deeper, right? Knowing that we can do better work, knowing that we can do real work with humans who have a history and a nervous system and hormones and who are complicated. So yes, can we get a heck yeah on that on the chat for those of you here in the, oh, I can see the chat now. Can we get a heck yeah on we can do better? Like, we can do better. Yes, we absolutely can. Let's see who wins the prize for me here. Who wins the prize for me here? Very first person, Claudia. Heck yeah. Thank you guys. Awesome. And you out there on YouTube too, right? We can do it better. And, I know that's what engineers say. And so when we come to the fourth chakra, The other thing I want you to talk, I want to sort of put out here as we get started is, heck yeah, as we're saying on the chat, we can do better. And because I have an engineering background, I did 18 years of engineering before I came into personal growth, and now I've done that for 18 years, is that I don't want you to be a scientist. I want you to be more like an engineer, more like a craftsman. I want you to use this craft, not just have a bunch of esoteric ideas. I want you to apply it. That's why I'm handing you all of these assessments, right? And by the way, when you pick up your copy of Unblocked, there's even more assessments in here. I always get a laugh with my mini commercials. So just a quick review, right? We're talking about understanding the roots of the issues, the feelings underneath. We're also talking about the behaviors that come from those issues. And we're talking about hormones, the nervous system. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today, how all of this affects us at a mind, body, brain, body, nervous system level. We're talking about using these assessments at different chakras to get more information, to get to the blind spots. But I wanted to do a quick review, right? And so first chakra, which we have covered, right? First chakra, which we have covered. What are the blind spots? What are the issues there? The blind spots, the issues there at the first chakra is that we don't really understand our fear well. Sometimes we don't even know it's there. We're unaware of it. And even those who say, I have this fear, I have this anxiety, they don't really understand it, in a way that makes it safe to work with it. Second chakra, biggest blind spot. It's just like a no-go. It's like, hells to the no, Margaret. If I describe to people, come and do this work, you are going to feel the most painful grief, anger, rage that you have sitting in your body. Would you like to join my weekend workshop? Most people would say no. That's actually the opposite. I'm trying to get rid. I don't like people who are angry. And so second chakra blind spot is that these troublesome, unlike judgeable, like it makes sense to judge these emotions, just I'm not going to go there. That cannot be the answer to me feeling less depressed, more happy. At the fourth chakra, right? At the third chakra, the big blind spot, I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I do that behavior. I don't know why I say I'm not going to eat and then I'm standing in front of the refrigerator, right, with a half pint of ice cream. I don't know why I procrastinate. I don't know why when I got into that conversation, I didn't stand up for myself, right? So that's the third chakra blind spot, is I'm unaware of what is really driving my behaviors. And at the fourth chakra, the blind spot, I'm going to say it this way and then you're going to understand, is I'm right about that. That's the blind spot. Inside of me, no matter what anyone's telling me, yeah, but I'm right about this. I am right about this. The smartest part of me, I am right about this. Awesome. Yay, Lisa said she's already joined for the next week's trainings. Awesome, great. And I'll make sure, yeah, there's another good example. She said, why don't I stick to regular exercise, right? And so, yes, we are leading into this. We're getting some questions of the more intensive training on the chakras that goes into the more like portal level, like open a doorway level assessments next week. But of course, you have the copies of the assessments that I've been giving you today. And so, when this comes to working with clients, which is why I do this extra training series starting next week, this is the call to action to do better, to know better, to have more clarity, to know where you're going so that you can lead people, follow people, you can help move the energy, and you can help mentor them at a higher level, right? It's for those of you who are called to that higher level. I'm going to talk about all the different portals at each of the fourth chakra. You'll understand what a portal is and why we use it. I'm going to talk about why people fail at each chakra. And I'm going to talk about how over these 18 years, I have found even external problems. There's this big thing in the way though, Margaret, and it's not going to change, dissolve when we work through the chakras. It sounds a little magical. It is magical. It is magic. It works like magic. And that's why I love teaching it. particularly because you start to really learn how to get around people's resistance, right? I don't want to go there, the counterintuitive nature of it. Okay, so let me come to some of my fourth chakra notes here for you. I've got my assessment ready to go. Okay. So I'm going to walk through, Kay said, I love magic. I'm going to walk through the fourth chakras again, but in terms, because I know so many of you are love list taking, note taking, in terms of what is the right that we reclaim, not just when we clear the blocks at that chakra, but when we reclaim the energy of that chakra and it's stronger and fuller. Okay. It's a slightly different way to look at it. So at the first chakra, I talked about safety, right? And I've never felt safe. That was part of the assessment, how it forms when we are born. We realize, wow, I have a nervous system. I can be killed on this planet. I can be not kept safe. And so at the first chakra, the rights that we reclaim when we help a client rebuild their first chakra is this basic human rights. It sounds like, the Bill of Rights. It's like the right to life, to liberty, to the pursuit of happiness. I have the right to be happy, to live, to be free. Some of the ways that translated during my corporate career was, oh my gosh, suddenly women got the right to have a harassment-free workspace. That was a miracle, right? I actually have a right to not be harassed in the workplace so that I can pursue what I want to do in a way that is happy, that is prosperous for me, right? So reclaiming those rights. Yes, I have a right to be here. If someone says, who do you think you are? Yeah, I do know who I am, and I have the right to be here, to exist, to say what I have to say. At the second chakra, the right to actually want things. And by nature of wanting them, to be able to have them, to possess them. I have the right to want things that make me feel good. I have that. I build that right on the first one, right? Is that I do have the right to feel good. I want things that are going to not just torture me, but that's going to make me feel good without shame, without guilt. I have that right. Guilt and shame says, no, you don't. So at third chakra, I reclaim the right of my own agency, my right to take action, my right to self-empowered action. Like if it's calling me, I can take a step. I can take a step, and anything that says, no, you can't, you sit right back down. You don't deserve it. You can't be at this table. You can't speak. That is going to hit my system as no, you are wrong. I have the right to step up and take this action, and I am unflappable in that. It doesn't mean I'm in battle, but in my leadership energy, I carry myself like I do have the right. So now let's arrive at fourth chakra. As some of you know about fourth chakra, it's your heart chakra. It sits in the middle of the lower chakras and the upper chakras, because we have 5, 6, and 7. The fourth chakra sits in the middle, and it is a true integrator. It is where we really are able, like in the fourth chakra is supposed to be in charge, right? Fourth chakra is how we're supposed to be running the show, living our life from our heart. We're supposed to see through our heart, look at things through our heart, look at actions that we take through how they affect other people, look at the things we want and we need in negotiation, lovingly with with compassion of what other people need and want. And so for me, at the fourth chakra, we have the right to love and to celebrate the feeling of love. But here's the thing that no one adds in. We have the right to love ourselves first. Ourselves first, to love and celebrate myself as the very first person I need to love with 4 things, right? 4 elements of the 4th chakra. Well, I said one of them, love, right? But with compassion, with understanding, with patience, and finally with wisdom. I have the right to see myself through that lens and have that joy, that celebration of loving myself first and seeing the world that way. And so when our 4th chakra is closed, what people will say is, I don't feel good. I don't feel joyful. I don't feel like I celebrate. Margaret, that's what I've heard so many times. And I heard this before I became a coach, because again, I was in corporate for 18 years. I did all the hard work, Margaret. I put in the 10 years, the 12 years, and then I finally accomplished this big thing. And they did give me an award, and I felt nothing. Or they did give me the award, and it felt like a pat on the frickin' head. Or they did give me an award as a secondary contributor, and somebody else got the credit. And so these are the kinds of things that we say and manifest when our heart chakra is closed, when it is tight, when we don't allow enough energy there. And the weird thing, the counterintuitive thing, is that our heart chakra can be open and closed at the same time. And so we can be the most, and this is how I am just going to take a wild guess that all of you are incredibly loving human beings, loving and understanding and compassionate and often very patient with other people. Look at other people and have the ability, right? Tell me if this is you, have the ability to see such good in them, their skills, their qualities, that you could sit them down. And this is so true of coaches, because we have that kind of vision, right? I can speak to people in a way that I can compliment them that is so right on, so laser focused, so seeing of them. Are you an amazing accomplisher? An amazing complimenter of other people? Tell me on the chat, yes or no, and tell me on YouTube too. Are you amazing at complimenting other people? Yeah. Yeah, someone said here, this is huge for me. My jaw drops when I think about how I do this for other people, but not me. And so when it comes to, so here's this beautiful open heart. And this is where it becomes another blind spot, because we can think, well, this person has an amazing heart. They don't have to do heart chakra work. But the first relationship we had is with ourselves, is how do I treat me? How compassionate am I when I make a mistake? How patient am I with myself when I am making mistakes, not there yet? How understanding am I with myself about shortcomings in the past? How do I use my wisdom? Wisdom means I see the big picture. I see the bigger picture. That's wisdom, right? I see the bigger picture. Do I use my wisdom to say, you know what, when I look back and I see the bigger picture, I now see that mistake in context? Or do I look back with false wisdom of the closed heart? Because when the heart is closed, the mind is still active, and it is in robot mode. It is in robot mode. And so what we get for symptoms in the 4th chakra, for the negative symptoms to say this person needs to do 4th chakra work, is that we have a very self-critical person, whether they admit to it or not. They're often very matter of fact, but underneath what they're hiding is a lot of feelings of disappointment. A lot of situations that have led to a feeling of being disappointed, not feeling joy, which means low serotonin. right? Often these are, we can go to adrenal fatigue, trying to achieve and get and prove that we've proved enough to get that joy, but not feeling that. The misery centers of the brain, as my friend Dawson Church calls it, the misery centers of the brain, which are the self-critical centers, the fear-based centers, the not good enough centers, are the superhighways. And the energy when our heart is closed and we have a lot of fear, like, because we've got to be perfect, is shunted to the head. So there's more self-critical energy in the head, and the brain is more wired that way. And then with that, there is always a feeling of aloneness, a feeling on my own, unsupported. It's all on me, which means, by the way, brain body reset level, oxytocin is low. I'm a great complimenter, but I don't let compliments in. So who's there? Who doesn't let compliments in? Who basically has an energetic tennis racket, and when one comes at you, you're ready, right? Batting those compliments away, over talking the compliment, jumping in, ding, 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 and re-complimenting that person or saying it's no big deal, right? And so the misery centers of the brain don't allow this oxytocin to come through from the beautiful joy of being seen by another person. Yeah, making a joke to deflect a compliment, that's another big one, right? Or it's no big deal. So I'm going to read to you a little bit, because as we start to talk about the fourth chakra, the most important piece starts to be talking about the inner critic, which nobody really ever seems to realize it. I've been talking about it for years. Someone's going to pick up on it. Please, someone on this call, start talking about it. So I'm going to read from Unblocked. I have my hard copy. And yeah, it's pretty chewed up because while I was doing the photo shoot several years ago for the book launch, they wanted my 11-pound rescue rabbit in the picture with me, who is a free-range rabbit. She runs around my house and goes in a litter pan. Every time we tried to get pictures of her and me with the book, she would start chewing on the book and making a meal of it. So that's how I always know it's my earmarked copy. Yeah. She's very dog-like. It's like a dog and a cat mixed together. Okay, so I'm going to read from page 172. And it's false wisdom, the truth be told. And so I want you to think of your false wisdom. This is your inner critic. False wisdom is an inner belief system driven by half-truths, lies, and misguided ideas about what it means to be a good and worthy person. So if you've been with me in the series, you're hearing first, second, and third chakra right now, aren't you? Right? And it feels like self-righteousness, the feeling of being right, because we are right. Logically, we were unprepared for that talk that we gave. We shouldn't have laughed nervously when someone insulted us. We shouldn't have caved in to someone else's wishes. There's a million ways we could have done things better or smarter or more differently. But false wisdom is not wise at all. It just sounds smart. It's got compelling facts. It's got all these stories to back it up after all. False wisdom is supported by the belief that improving our faulty selves is more important than anything, including forgiveness and compassion with myself. Forgiveness and compassion for myself is for a future moment when we have finally learned that lesson, when we're finally doing everything right. Now, improving, on the other hand, means our mistakes and our faults need to constantly be reviewed by us, reviewed and pointed to by us as a warning inside, so we never forget. This is like a form of insurance. So we never stop stressing. We never stop worrying about doing things right, because that would lead right? To something bad, to something unsafe, to slacking off, to being judged by someone else. False wisdom's conclusion is that we need to be continually driven by anxiety, by self-doubt, and by reminders that we are somehow broken until that day when we're fixed, until we've improved enough to finally measure up to whatever our programmed standard is of perfection. And it is only through the achievement of that perfection that will finally allow, get to, deserve, arrive at feeling joy, good enough, lovable. Only through the ultimate achievement will we ever deserve to rest, to allow in love, to allow celebration, to allow receiving. And so false wisdom then is when our inner critic becomes our inner coach. And it packs a powerful punch. It beats us up every day. When we hold fast to this false wisdom of the inner critic, we close up, we block our beautiful heart energy, and instead live our lives in our head, evaluating ourselves and others rather than feeling some of life's biggest joys. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. If I'm not doing and giving or being or perfect, I don't deserve yet. And so it means I'm going to take all of this amazing instrument, and I'm going to be processing constantly, 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 on alert, aware, scrutinizing myself. You know, imagine, I want you to feel into these two different phrases, okay? You just started a job. And they train you and they say, okay, for the next month, we're going to be mentoring you. How does that feel? Oh, okay, that sounds helpful. Now I'm going to switch out the M word. For the next month, I'm going to be monitoring you. We're going to be monitoring you. Do you feel the difference in that feeling? Monitor, in the English word monitor, it's not just watching, it has a feeling and energy in it. It means scrutinizing, evaluating, picking apart. And so you can feel the difference in your energy. I'm going to be mentored? Great. I'm going to be monitored? What? Right? I'd be looking at my watch going, I'm not going to be last in here. So when you think about a closed heart chakra, we are building on all of the first, second, and third. And the first, second, and third, when I said it's like lies and mistruths, the chakra energy rises, like sap rises in a tree, right? The sap moves upward in a tree. The programming at each chakra rises up into the next one. And so when the heart chakra gets this programming that says, I am not safe. So how did I figure out to be safe? I figured out that there's all these types of feelings that I shouldn't have. And those go into the shadow. So at the fourth chakra, we also start talking about Carl Jung's shadow, right? I've shoved these things into the shadow. And now at my fourth chakra, I don't look at those impulses, those feelings, those angers, those griefs, those weaknesses, those vulnerabilities, that neediness. I don't look at that with wisdom or understanding or compassion. That is bad. I gotta hide that. And I look at what behaviors can I do and how do I have to do them to be safe. We talked about that yesterday. And so at the fourth chakra, where we are supposed to behold ourselves with compassion, understanding, patience, and wisdom, the heart closes and the mind is in scrutiny mode, just scrutinizing, because I have to find in myself all the vulnerabilities, that are going to be dangerous for me. So, one of the ways that the mind, the inner critic becomes the inner mentor, right? It's like your inner coach, is not only that it can stop us from doing something, but I want you to think about when you take an imperfect first attempt at something, when you have stepped out of your comfort zone, when you have done something, maybe that you've never done before. And then you come back after that moment, even if people are like, you were amazing, you did so great, it was so blah. When you come back after that moment and you start to review how you did or any mistake that you made, and does that feel good? And so I don't deserve to celebrate yet, but what I do know to do is to scrutinize all of that. And if you've ever been in that mode where you're evaluating yourself, your performance, the sound of your voice, right? The way you said something, the thing that you forgot. If someone tries to tell you, no, you're being too hard on yourself, what do you say to them in your head? Go ahead, put it on the chat. Go ahead, put it in the comments. What do you say in your head when someone says, you did great, you're being too hard on yourself, look at all the good things? Yeah, this is why it's such a blind spot. When we do fourth chakra work, we're basically up against the side of a client, the side of ourselves that we say within ourselves, all you people are wrong and I'm right. This is the side we revere. Yeah, they're just being nice. They don't know anything. So when people compliment you, it's kind of like you're patting them on the head going, oh, yeah. Maybe for your low standards, thank you for the compliment. Maybe for your low standards, this was good. So yeah, I could have done better. Give me a break. You're just being nice. I silently say, yeah, right. I'm not so sure about that. Easy for you to say, I've got to be hard on myself to get better and better. That might be, Katie said it right out. That might be good enough for you, right? But even, or Mondi said, if only I had. And so I'm always making this connection because it doesn't allow us to reclaim that right to feel joy, celebrated, happy. Like, look at what I did. That was a little messy, but it's the first time I ever did it. Holy cow, it's amazing, right? I did it. And what I love to celebrate is the fact is I was scared and I still did it. It's more celebration. Instead, for me, it was less, because if I was scared and I did it, unforgivable. I could have been picture perfect, but for me, because I knew I was scared, nervous, anxious, filled with self-doubt, unforgivable, total loser. And so I would not have made it very far in this business because you give up. If we're always that hard on ourselves, if we can't actually celebrate even when we make progress. And so at the fourth chakra in this inner critic, we really see the brain-body motivation connection, because criticism turns up cortisol. And that means no serotonin, no happy, good feeling hormones. You don't deserve it. No dopamine for the next time you go to do something. If I make a video and then I watch it and am horrified and torture myself about it, oh my God, the sound of my voice, look, I'm saying too much, I said I move my hands too much, which I do. If I do that, how excited am I going to be to make the next video when I just got slammed? Right? Nobody else needed to slam me. I did it to myself. And so in our mind, we're constantly being evaluated and we're the ones doing it first, right? And so for the heart chakra, it's one of the hardest places. A second chakra is really hard too, because nobody wants to feel the bad feelings. And fourth chakra is like a mirror of that. It's like, you don't know, coach, I know it could have been better. And so underneath that, again, There's always this core of sadness, of disappointment, of not feeling joy. But when it's all our fault, we don't get to cry. When it's all our fault, we don't get to release the feelings of compassion for ourselves, the grief of something that disappointed us, the grief of how hard something was. We're not allowed to get a hug because it's our fault. I mean, this is a huge part of, we saw this in, in the Me Too movement, when things started to come out more and more, is how many people say, when I looked at this past traumatic event, the clearest piece was, why did I let that happen? Why didn't I get myself out of there? Why didn't I say something? Why did I freeze like that? Why didn't I push back? Why did I go along up until that point? So guess who I blame? Myself. Whereas when the heart is open, we look at situations with actual wisdom, not false wisdom, and we see the bigger picture. And so that the fourth chakra in particular, I find to do the work, I have to kind of bring client, and I'll talk about this next week. It's our fourth class on the fourth chakra. Actually, I think that's in 2 weeks. But if you're signed up for the series, you'll get all of them. I have to lead people into fourth chakra work pretty blindly, because if they knew where we were going, they wouldn't want to go there, because they're right. They don't need to do that work. I don't need to do any work around that issue, Margaret, because I'm right about it. Because I'm right about it. I should have known better. So it's one of the most hardened pieces. But the fourth chakra work is also hard in that we're looking at the shadow self, the shadow emotions, the shadow sides of me, and delving into that in a way that isn't just theory, but it is real and practical, and it's a session, right? Because if it's a session, we can do it. So let's walk through fourth chakra. It's a lot to teach. Let's walk through this assessment, because it's going to build on everything that I've been talking about. And again, it's a way of getting at 6 different aspects of someone's heart chakra. It may not all, as we've seen in all of these, some can be true and others not true, but it's a perfect assessment to get a handle on how someone's heart chakra is working. Yeah. Okay, so first question in the fourth chakra assessment, I often feel lonely or alone in it. Lonely or alone in it, even if I'm in a relationship. Even if I'm in a relationship, if that feels true, it's a 10. So we're getting some 9s and 10s and 8s. Great, we got 1 3. Doesn't feel true. So happy for you. Great work. Okay, number 2. When I've felt deeply hurt or wronged in the past, I just get over it, because what's the point? Getting upset won't change anything. When I felt deeply hurt or wronged in the past, I just get over it, because what's the point? Getting upset won't change anything. It speaks to that, do I allow myself to feel the compassion and move the grief? Anna Dea Judith, who wrote Eastern Body, Western Mind, which I quote in the book at different places, talks about grief. Stuck grief. I call it uncried tears that are stuck in the system. And to move those tears, it's miraculous how the heart chakra opens. Number 3, I set extremely high standards for myself, and it horrifies me to think of others seeing me or my work as substandard in some way, not perfect in some way, not prepared enough. Yeah, and so for getting a lot of 10s on that, right? And I write it that way. It horrifies me to be seen this way. And so that is a 10. Now, none of us like to be seen as, not being ill-prepared, right? But what we're trying to measure here and get and assess in a client is how high is that self-scrutiny and how high is the pain if I mess up? Because what you will find out as you get into it with clients is where their standard is, right? Because what my work of substandard means, it's going to vary. Okay, number 4, this is a key one. I often feel disappointed in others when they let me down or betray me, but I don't get mad. I just cut them off and move on. So there's a couple different parts to that question, feeling disappointed in others. And so, one of the ways, of course, to use these kinds of assessments is if someone is like, that's a 10, it's like, okay, well, that's interesting. So we're going to get into that question. The other part of it is I don't get mad, I cut them off. Right. And so how do I operate in relationship in my heart? But there's a piece of it where I don't get mad, I just feel disappointed. I just feel disappointed and then I withdraw. And so cutting them off and move on means I kind of dismiss them. So Judy said, what does that mean? I get mad and cut them off. It's like, I don't get mad. I just like, you're dead to me. I'm done with you. I dismiss you. I'm just moving away from this relationship completely. And so it's a way of staying up in our mind in relationship, right? It's like, I'm not going to work that out. I'm disappointed and it's over. Number 5, when I think about painful past events, I primarily feel disappointed in myself for not being smarter or stronger or better or knowing. So when I think about painful past events, I primarily feel disappointed in myself for not being smarter, for not being stronger. Like it could have all been avoided if I had just fill in the blank. Okay, lots of 10s on that one and some 2s, which is good. Okay, question number 6, last question. As I kind of got to in the end of the teaching there, which was, when I do bigger and bolder things in view of others, I often cringe when I see my mistakes, even if others are impressed. I often cringe when I see my mistakes, even if others are impressed, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10. Right now, none of us like to see ourselves make a mistake, but what you'll hear in this kind of assessment is someone to say, oh my God, that's totally me. And so we know there's an area that I'm going to explore. And it comes to the mentorship, the heart chakra being the inner coach, the inner mentor. After I've done something, how do I beat myself up after? How do I scrutinize? How do I evaluate that? Because that is going to affect my whole system and how much action I take in the future. Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, and so again, you can have these assessments, lots of different great ways to use them, lots of conversation openers in there. They're not typical standard questions. They're all, first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra. So of course there's connections, but they give you all these different interesting ways in and starting points to work with your clients. It's great to have them and have looked at them. If you've signed up for the training next week, definitely take a look at them. If you've signed up for the training for next week for coaches, I recommend you take these assessments and ask some people, right? Do some role play with them, do a little tests on some people and see how they react, see what pieces of this feel really true, even if it's just 1 or 2 part, and have a conversation about that, just to get used to doing an assessment that is different than someone just telling you things, right? Because especially at the 4th chakra, we can work with someone for a year and they are not letting us into the real stuff, right? They're going to show up accomplished and ready and say, I'm doing all the things, but for some reason, I'm not manifesting any reward. And you will rack your brains to figure out why don't they ever get rewards? And it's because they don't allow their rewards, right? They don't allow their rewards. So we're going to wrap up with some tapping for this fourth chakra. And we're just going to touch on it. We're not going to go deep into it, right? So just set that intention. We're doing this as a group. Yes, thank you. And as I said, you deep dive into the psyche. We have to. If we want to do better, and we can, we have to know a little bit more. And we have to know more than our clients, right? We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be evolved, right? We don't have to be like meditating in a cave for the rest of our lives and totally ascending, filter feeding abundance. We just have to be looking at ourselves, honestly. We have to be understanding. We have to be willing to do our own work. We just have to be one step ahead of our clients. And as a matter of fact, if you feel like I'm a disaster on some of these things, Margaret, like, thanks for calling it dynamic, but I'm a disaster, it's even better because you will have more compassion, more understanding, more clarity when someone like you shows up as a client and they are batting away compliments and trying not to feel all sorts of emotions. Yeah. Yes. Great comment. Lorna said, I find that people are more ready to do deeper work these days. Amen, sister. So much pressure that they can't ignore it. So, and Stephanie said, through is the only way to better. Yeah. And I've said this before, but I think it always bears saying again, is that the things that sounded woo-woo pre-pandemic don't sound very woo-woo post-pandemic, because people, everyday people, non-psychologically minded people had to start talking about anxiousness and fear and feel like they're pulling back or freezing, feeling their fight or flight, feeling their worry, seeing their mind go into a different state, watching it happen to their children, watching it happen to their friends and family, right? Watching how people under stress react in different ways. And so suddenly there is more openness to talk about feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, feeling like, what if I fail? Feeling more self-critical since the pandemic than I felt before the pandemic. So it did change things. We are in an era where people are ready for more. And I love teaching coaches how to do more, right? How to do deeper, more real work. I think it's time, right? I think it's time. Like, let's not be scientists. Let's be engineers when it comes to applying the work in a way that gets real change. Okay, so I just, to tune into this heart chakra tapping, I just want to acknowledge that we all have things that we feel like I shoulda, coulda, known better, done better. And so we're going to do some tapping just kind of with that concept. Again, we're not going to go super deep on it, but I just want you to see and feel how some of this heart chakra work goes. Okay, we ready to do that? Everyone good there? Everybody on YouTube ready to do some tapping? And so why are we using tapping? Again, it turns down the fight or flight. It turns down the I don't feel anything that we often are in when our heart chakra is closed. And it allows the movement, the safe movement of even strong emotions so that they can peak and then come down. But it also allows us to hear and understand ourselves better. So it opens up understanding and compassion. That's why in the middle of tapping, I often say to people, oh, did that feel true? And they're like, yes, it did. Did you know you felt that way? No, I did not. Did you know that was a 10 for you? No, I did not. So we're getting to know ourselves as well through the tapping. Okay, so let's jump in. And you guys can repeat after me. The truth is, there's lots of things that I should have done better, could have done better. And if I had known better, been stronger, smarter, it would have saved me so much trouble. And I am right about that. There's so many things And I am 100% right that I should have done better. And I am not letting that go. I am holding on to that. It wouldn't be right to let myself off the hook. I should have known better. If I had just done it differently. So disappointing. So disappointing. So disappointing. And I'm not letting that go. Because I'm right about this. And I've been carrying this for fill in the blank. Weeks, months, years. I've been carrying this for a long time and I'm still right. I need to learn this lesson. I can't just let this go. Forgive myself. That wouldn't be right. I need to remember my mistakes. And ooh, I remember this one. I'm actually really mad at myself about it. Not just disappointed. Because it really cost me. Some of these should have done it better. Or maybe the one big one really cost me. Really cost me. It was really bad. True or not true? Just nod on the screen. True or not true? So I can't just let it go because the cost was too high. And I'm still paying the price. I'm still paying the price. Okay, and take a breath. And so what did it cost you? When I said was the cost high and everyone's nodding, what did it cost you? And I want you to put it on the chat. Put it in the comments. We don't know what your past event was. We don't know what you're tuning into or the things, but what did it cost you? Did it cost you money? Did it cost you your confidence? Did it cost you a relationship? Did it cost you your health? What did it cost you? Joy, friendship, money, advancement, so much energy. It cost my self-respect. It cost me everything, my family, my life. It cost me confidence. It cost me job success, peace of mind, money, family, not be seen, self-confidence, a loving relationship, relationships, money, family. So I want you to think about that cost. It's hard to forgive something when the cost was high. But just for a minute, I want you to think about the cost and the cost over the years and the number of times you've thought about it and the number of times you've been hard on yourself and reviewed it and analyzed it and thought, I should have done this, I should have done that. I want you to think of all the costs that has cost you. Yes, the joy, the self-love, the time. It's a lot of cost. It's a lot of cost. So we're going to tap again. It's really cost me a lot. And I don't even talk about it. I don't complain or feel sorry for myself, even though it's cost me so much. Because I don't deserve that compassion. It's my fault. You don't deserve to cry and get a hug when it's your fault. So even though it's cost me a lot, I'm not going to grieve or cry those tears for the price I paid, the devastating price that I'm alone with all the time, because nobody even knows what I lost. Because you don't get hugs or sympathy or compassion. Because I should have known better. So it's my fault. So no, I don't deserve to soften my stance and give myself compassion, understanding. I don't even deserve to look at the big picture. I just see the parts where I made mistakes. And I'm just going to honor that. This is how I roll. Okay, and take another breath. And so it's a little counterintuitive, because in a conversation, you would probably try to convince somebody to be kinder to themselves, to not a big deal. And we know where that gets us, right? You guys already told me. It's like, no, you don't know any better, Margaret. And so the tapping, we start with voicing the critic. And we just let the critic keep saying, and I'm right about that. No compassion. So my question always is, how many more years of punishment do you deserve? How many more years do you need to stay in that prison? Because it sounds like it's already cost you. It sounds like it's already cost you. Because we can continue on, you know? Judy said, right? It feels like I'm tapping garbage into me with a bat. That is what we're doing every day. We just don't even notice it because we're right. And so this is where tapping is very, very interesting. Because if someone says, yes, it's still true, I don't deserve to feel compassion for myself, we just keep tapping on those garbage words, those untruths. And suddenly the tears come. And often people don't even know why they're crying. And it's because the heart finally opens. Just like we finally break down under a bully, under a critical bully, and say, I can't take it anymore. You're hurting me. And so going into the cost, and what does it cost you? Not only that past event, but being hard on yourself all of these years. What has that cost you? Because this is where people say, Margaret, ever since that day, I don't let myself feel very good. I don't let myself feel worthy. I don't let myself have joy. That is a really big cost. I don't let myself cry the tears of how hard that whole thing was on me. Right? Remember, if it's our fault, we don't allow compassion. And when you are the judge and jury and arbiter of that, we will stay in that prison for a lifetime. This is how sometimes the worst thing that's ever happened to us is the thing we never forgive ourselves for, even when there's lots of other people and circumstances involved, which is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And so you may be in a place right now, right? Just a little bit of tapping that you feel like, nope, should have known better, Margaret, and that's okay. But I want you to hear the strength of that refusal. I am not going there, because if I open that up, I'm going to start to feel compassion for myself. On the other hand, you may be feeling the tears come up, the sadness for this past event that you have been secretive about, because it's your fault. And in that case, here's where we want to move into the heart chakra, right? And the question is it time yet to start to let it go so that you can feel what? Fill in the blank. If I start to let this past event go, it means in this present moment, I would allow myself to start feeling again. What good feeling? What good feeling? Yeah, Carol said worthy. Worthy comes up a lot, right? Worthy comes up a lot. You know, this is the hard work. We can blame ourselves forever, and no one even knows we're doing it, so they don't know how to stop us. And so, is it time yet to allow yourself to feel worthiness, joy, peace, worthiness, love, freedom, joy, safety, alive, joy, worthiness? Or do you need to wait another 5 years? Because you can. You can. So let's tap again. Maybe I'm not there yet, because I'm pretty resistant. I'm pretty withholding when it comes to me and understanding, compassion, patience. I'm pretty locked in the way I see my past mistakes. And I'm just going to honor that. I like being right about things. And I have felt really right about this. And that's not actually my truth. It's not my heart's truth. So I am open, or open to being open, maybe just for a second, of seeing myself, beholding myself through my heart, my kind, wise, compassionate, patient heart. Seeing the actual context of past mistakes, the people, the reality in which I was embedded, who I was being, what was going on, what I was able to bring. I'm open to widening my view and really questioning Could I have known better at that time? Or was I doing the best I knew how with all the forces around me and all the ways I was alone in it? Was I doing the best I knew how? I'm open to beholding myself as an imperfect, loving, majestic human that is on a journey, perfect and imperfect, evolving, striving, messing up, getting back up. I'm open to beholding myself with love, my strengths, everything I've learned, my compassion, my care, my creativity, my sense of humor, the fuller picture of me, and beholding myself as deserving of feeling joy, powerful, appreciated, celebrated, happy. Of course I deserve that. And I don't want to wait another decade. I want it now. I choose to be in this present moment, the past behind me, the future I am creating, and behold myself as beautiful, deserving, sovereign, powerful, always imperfect, and always growing. I honor myself. And take a breath and put your hands on your heart. And just breathe that in for a second. And I want you to speak to yourself in the exact tone of voice and words you would use with someone else. Say it in your head or out loud. Your version of, it's okay. You're okay. I got you. It's okay. And maybe even, you're awesome. You're lovable. You're amazing. You're deserving. You matter. How you feel matters, not just what you do. You deserve goodness. Let that go right into your core. I mentioned a tree before, right? And it's like you're speaking to your inner ring of yourself as a tree, directly to that inner ring. Words that your mind-body system may have never heard before. I see you. I see you with wisdom compassion, understanding, patience. I got you. And in this way, we can give ourselves a little oxytocin, a little understanding, a little hug. Yeah. Yeah. One hug. I got you. So often I find that this thing that we could have known better, should have known better, is something we've never let anyone be there for us around because we're handling it on our own. So sometimes that first hug around this event is powerful. Yeah. Yeah. So be in that energy. Be in that energy. Spend today, tomorrow with a kindness, a tone of kindness to yourself, a softness, even if it's simple. It's okay. I get it. The heart chakra says, it's okay. I get it. I understand. And with its tone, with its, I do get it. I see it. It heals. Right? All healing comes through the work, comes through the heart. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you all. I want to just bless you with that beautiful heart energy today. And thank you for being here with me in this whole series, learning and experiencing and getting ready to help other people. You guys are just amazing. You are so, so amazing. And you do matter. You do matter. How you feel every day matters. You are not a vacuum cleaner. You matter. It's not just what you do. It's who you are. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. And we are going to be wrapping up. And so for some of you, if you have registered, great. I will see you next week. My team is putting the link there to register if you haven't yet, and we'll put it on YouTube. And we got so much more to do next couple of weeks. But what I love about this series is I also get to tap with you, right? We get to experience, not just learn. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye.